Hi! For once, I was right on time. Fucking go me. I was actually sitting right here. I'm gonna ball up this foil, so it's gonna be loud. Eating pizza rolls and making myself a drink, trying to get my mind right. So, 4 o'clock on the nose. Go me. All right. So, today's, suppose the books will be helpful in this endeavor. Today's live show is for the October books, being The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, which is not in the sleeve because I left it in my truck. You can see the foil. It's got like a really light layer in foil underneath, and it started to peel up. And I was like, no, can't read this copy. So I took the sleeve off. And then Written in Red by Ann Bishop. If you can, it's got a lot. It's mine, but it's got library stuff on it because it's used. So I don't know if you can see that. There we go. What are you looking at, sir? Nosy, spying on the neighbors. The blind's not even open, so I don't know what he's staring at. All right. So, firstly, I would like to say thank you to the people who participated in the chats with me. So, in Written in Red, I have Allie, Brandy, Elle, Juana, Megan, Kiana, and Talisha. You guys are awesome. And let's see who all was in the Bone Season chat, which I held on Boxer. There's Allie, Bethany, Brandy, Elle, Karen, Lisbeth, Megan, Monica, Chantal, Tabby, and Talisha. We talked about a bunch of shit that was not the books, but it was fun. Let's see. Got Elizabeth. Hi. Happy Secret. That's Talisha, right? I didn't know last time. And I think when this closes out, I can see your face in the bubble or something. I was like, oh, dang it. I didn't even know that was her. Cute dog. Thank you. He's a brat. And the other one will probably at some point jump in my lap in the middle of this live show. It's November and the windows are open. I think I ate those pizza rolls too hot, or I might have had too much whiskey already because I'm burning the hell up. But it's okay. It's okay. All right. So I guess we will do Bone Season first, since that one is probably should do that before I've had too much more whiskey because that mofo is complicated. Okay, just a smidge. So the Bone Season is a urban fantasy. What is that? Urban fantasy / dystopian that takes place in 2059. Sorry, I've got my notes down there. Paige Mahoney is kind of working in this underground area of London it's Scion London now. It's kind of London after, I want to say Scion is like start off as this like commercial takeover kind of a thing. So it's, I need to turn that off. So it's very dystopian, futuristic setting, which a lot of people were not expecting when they went in, and neither was I, to be honest, but that was my fault because I don't really read summaries when I go into books. So Paige is working kind of on the streets in underground London. It's a weird mix, this gang that she's a part of, because it's kind of futuristic, but also if you listen to them talk, it's very like 1920s gangster mob, like gangster mall kind of a mix. It's really weird, but it works. At least it worked for me. Now, I will say that when you start this book, you will need to either keep like your finger in the back where the descriptions and names and stuff are in the, so say gallery. I can't think, Jesus. Or you'll have to kind of figure it out as you go, and it will take you a good 60 to 80 pages before you kind of get into the story, and it's not so much new information. There is a lot of info dumping in this book. So Paige is a kind of, where did my notes go? Help. Whatever. Paige is a kind of clairvoyant in this world where clairvoyants are looked down upon by the normal people instead of the other way around. Usually when we get paranormal romance, paranormal settings, it's usually the humans who are kind of like on the lower end of the totem pole. Technically, the low people on the totem pole are higher ranking, but you know what I mean. Technically, it's the humans, and in this one, it's the clairvoyants. And there's so many different kinds that I left the book downstairs in the truck, but without the book in front of me to like open the chart and show you, like this shit's fucking confusing. Like there are augurs and dreamwalkers, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Now, Paige specifically can break into other people's like minds or dreamscapes, which makes her pretty valuable to her gang. But the problem is that while she does that, she gets her vitals kind of shut down while she's out into this dreamscape type area. She stops breathing. She has to be put on like a positive pressure airway or whatever have you, like just like if she was in a coma, because her body's not going to do it for her. This kind of causes some problems later on when she doesn't have these things, because let me tell you why. So Paige does a thing she's not supposed to do, and you haven't read this book yet, I don't want to spoil it for you, but she gets caught. When she gets caught, because it's illegal to practice these things, but to basically exist without being registered or what have you in this area, she gets caught, and she gets caught in a big way. Now, just before she gets killed, she is magically taken to this place. She's rescued by the Rephaim, which is the word in most books for angels, but they're not very angel-like angels in this story. When they get to this place, surprise, surprise, she gets there just as it's time for bone season, which is really not explained all that well either in the beginning as you go. It's kind of confusing. My dog, sorry. So in this place where she gets taken, I can't remember the name of it. It is gonna come to me in a minute, but bone season is every 10 years. A lot of people, if they get taken, they just have to stay in this prison until the next 10-year cycle runs. But Paige just has that good luck that she gets there like the day before and misses out on the fun torture that everybody else has been getting for sometimes years. Now in bone season, all of these people get basically picked. They get divided into teams or what have you, and Paige catches the attention of the most handsome out of all the people and who happens to be like nicer than everybody thinks he is. Like, she has really fucking good luck in the beginning of this book, and I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out. And I think it's because the world is so intensive that you kind of get distracted because you're trying to keep up all the details. There's a lot of like different names for stuff with made up words. There are a lot of Roman numerals, and if you were just like not really paying attention, it's a damn lot. And I listened to it the first time on audiobook, so I bypassed all of that because I just was like, whatever, I missed that part, just keep going. And you get sucked into the story because it's fast-paced. Otherwise, when you read the book, it just damn drug in the middle. Even though this was a reread, I knew what's happening. I had a really hard time with it. Show One. Yes, thank you, Allie. That's what it's called. Show One is the place where she was taken. So she gets locked up with, or not locked up, so to say, but she gets taken. It's a kind of this odd position that's like a mix of house servant slash slave slash pupil slash whatever the hell he decides he wants her to be. And it's a little bit of a captor slash captive trope, which a lot of people didn't expect and a lot of people didn't like. That's actually the thing I heard that made me want to pick up the book, but it's not like really hard romance like everybody thinks it is. It's really like romance light. It's more like a hint of a romance, but I know what bugged a lot of people about it was that Paige and Warden, who that's not even his real name, I think it was Augustus or something stuffy like that. She continued to like call him Warden after they got together, and it still was very much like master servant, teacher pupil kind of relationship, even though like they should have really been inching closer to balance that out a little bit. So I didn't really catch that the first time, and I caught it this time, and it made me go, okay. Okay, let's see. This is because I thought of it as a concentration camp. It very much felt like one. So when you get there, you kind of get tested and you move up the ranks, so to speak. I think you start off as a white shirt, which is a pupil. You go from white shirt to pink shirt to red shirt. There's like these different tests they make you do. But people who don't pass these tests get to be the entertainers. They have like this kind of like carny lifestyle amongst the people who either didn't pass the test or refused to take the test. They have a harder life, but they didn't sell out. So a lot of them chose it, and they look down on other people who chose to go forward with the test. Now, this was a thing that bugged me because I felt like if I'm going through with the test, I'm choosing to survive. Whereas I just met you and you're living in this hovel and you're not eating real food and you're dirty and miserable and you're looking down on me because I did what I have to do. So I don't live like that because you've been stuck here for like 30 years and this is what you've been doing for 30 years. I don't want to do that. So that was kind of a thing that irked me a little bit, how when Paige got her next shirt, and it wasn't because of anything she did directly, it was kind of unavoidable, and they didn't even ask her. They just went, oh, well, fuck you. It's like, that was rude. Fuck you too. But, you know, she's a nice person, I am, and she tried to get that fixed. Another thing that I thought was really weird, a thing that I remember, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that Paige, it either took her a really long time to find out, or she never found out, like, what was with the pills that Warden was giving her when she got there. And he was just like, take these pills. And she was like, what's it for? And he's like, bitch, take these pills. And she was like, I mean, she didn't take them at first, but that was a weird thing to me. And it was like those kind of things that like disturbed, I need to put this whiskey down. Those kind of things that like disturbed the balance of the relationship and then just kind of kept it from ever getting on an even keel, that bugged me this time around. Whereas before they didn't, because I was like, well, Warden actually is, you know, he's just misunderstood. This was me the first time I listened to the book on audio. And it's just like, well, he's just misunderstood. You know, Warden just, excuse me, Warden just is doing the best with what he has, like everybody else does. For instance, the people who moved from white to pink to red or what have you, because they really didn't have a choice. And he's not exactly a willing participant in this, you know, scenario either. But, you know, he's keeping that kind of aloof nature about himself to keep everybody from discovering that he doesn't align with everybody else's wishes. And he kind of protects Paige by doing that a little bit. That's what I got from it the first time. The second time I was like, you being a wimp. Like, you need to tell them fuck off. Like, not necessarily, but you need to help facilitate change instead of just, you know, kind of walking that line and wimping out all the time. So it's weird that I had very different feelings about it the first time versus the second time, especially considering I forgot a lot of it because it is so detailed and world building heavy. And she just throws it at you, bro. Like, damn. Let's see, Elizabeth said she didn't find out till almost the end, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like either she finds out, like, I didn't listen to it that hard, and I'm not gonna lie, I started skimming the end by this time because Warden was getting on my nerves. It's like she like just kind of let it go, brush it off like it wasn't a big deal. And I thought that was weird. And then when she took the one that she had that nobody else had, took it to like the pawn shop type dude. And he was like, well, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'll trade you for it. Nah, somebody need to tell me what the hell I'm taking or supposed to be taking or whatever. Because in the beginning, like the hopeful side of me was like, well, maybe it's something that, you know, would save your life in a bad situation. Maybe they're putting poison in the water or the food or whatever, or it might be an antidote or to keep you from getting sick or blah, 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 blah. Like, you let that go real easy, but okay. So, good Lord, sorry. Those pizza rolls are coming back for revenge, Father God. Let's see. Did anybody not like the book or DNF the book? Who's here in the comments? Let's move over a little bit. No, sir. All right. No, here's the 7 orders of clairvoyance that are broken down. So the soothsayers, the mediums, the censors, the augurs, the guardians, the Furies, and the jumpers. And then amongst each of those is broken down into either 2 or 4 categories, and sometimes those categories are broken down. So yes, listen, thank you, the glossary in the back of the book, and then the chart in the front of it. Like, if you just look at it going in, it's just like, and when I picked it up, I believe I had the audiobook before I ever had a physical book. So I missed all of that. And I'm kind of glad. So when I reread books, I initially, unless I find something problematic, what I always try to do is go with my initial rating. So I enjoyed it so much in audiobook when I listened to it the first time that I gave it a 5-star rating. This time I'm just like, it was really dense. It was kind of unnecessarily dense because I feel like maybe it would have worked better if you would have put Paige in a position where she didn't know everything on the outside about the augurs and whatnot. She learned about them as she kind of got into the bone season thing, because maybe it was kept secret from her too, and she was just like, I don't know what I am. But now that would have, to me, worked a little better because she would have learned a little slower, and then we would have got it instead of like they just talk about it like it's common knowledge, and the reader is going, bitch, wait a minute, I don't, what? Because that's what I felt like a lot of the time. And this is coming through a reread. I was fucking confused a lot. So, Felicia says, I wish I read this book form for this info. The audio was excellent. Yes, the audio. So, if any of you are kind of picky with audiobooks like I am, I'm really, really, really picky about audiobooks. But the narrator for this one, oh my God, I loved her so much. And that's probably why I was really into the story and felt like it was like fast paced, because I just loved her. I love her intonations. I love her voice. I love her accent. It was just great. It was perfect for this book. And I am really, really, really picky when it comes to audiobooks. Really, really picky. So that's that. So I think like if I would have been reading it first, and that's another thing too, like you're kind of colored differently, your reading experience based on how you got the book in the first place. So I enjoyed it more listening to it, and I think had I read the book the first time, I might have DNF'd it, because I like thick, dense world building, but this was, I think it wasn't the amount, it was how the amount was delivered, and it started to kind of feel like reading a nursing book or any other kind of textbook, a history book or a social studies or whatever the hell. It was just like, oh God, gotta pick up this shit again. It wasn't fun. And then when I got to like, I was like, okay, well, the Warden and Page stuff should start up soon. And then that was like, Elizabeth says, technically, this was the second time I read the book. The first time I DNF'd it, but I really wanted to know how it turned out. The group chat made me finish. Same. So that's why I like buddy reads, because a lot of the times buddy reads will keep me accountable, especially if so many people are going, I finished. I'm waiting on you guys to talk about it. I'm like, fuck, let me hurry and finish this book. But I think I would have DNF'd it if I hadn't. Let's see. Talisha says, I'm bad. I read for enjoyment. World building isn't my thing, so I tend to skim. Yeah, I started to after a while too, especially because it really didn't seem like all of the different types of magic that she built into it was contributing anything of great importance plot-wise. If all of this stuff had a so again, like I can't ever do one of these without bringing up like Alona Andrews. But Alona Andrews has a pretty complicated world building as far as like the people go, not like the magic in and of itself. But she brings in a lot of like different cultural, different like mythologies, and she's like Russian magic, and there's just all types of all kinds of freaking different magic in there. And what she does though is that you don't get it all in the first book. It like we learn as kind of no, we don't even learn as Kate learns. Kate already knows all this stuff, so she just kind of like, as this is relevant and it comes up later, she don't just throw it all at us in the beginning. It only becomes a thing when it comes up. So we get them one at a time, or maybe two at a time, but one book at a time, instead of like, here are these 14 different magic systems and all they goddamn rules in the first 5 pages. Good reading, guys. This pain in the ass. So that's kind of what that felt like. Now I am big on world building and characters, and a book has one or the other. If the world building is kind of poop, the characters have to be really like a driving thing. I have to connect with them like nothing else. If the characters are kind of then the world building's got to be amazing, and that's kind of where that balance is for me with Darker Shades of Magic, because I didn't connect with Kale's ass at all. Kale was like toast, like bleh, but the world building was freaking amazing. So I got the rest of the series. But had it been like a really complicated world that wasn't explained well, kind of like this one, then I wouldn't have liked it much. But I did like Paige, sometimes she was a dumbass. So I think I would have rated it a little differently this time around had I not listened to the audiobook first. So that's an interesting discussion to be had too, about the difference audiobook makes sometimes, or audiobook can like make the book, or audiobook can ruin it for somebody if they get to it first. Okay. The next book that we read was written and read by Anne Bishop. This one is the first in the other series. This one is one that I put on Goodreads in the group chat. I mean, not in the group chat, but on the, hey, come here. That I put on the book club page as a vote. And this was the book that was picked. It was between this, Soulless, and I think the Charlie Davidson series, and something else that I forgot, but this is the one that was picked. And I'm really surprised, because usually That was a bad idea. The other books have not really gone all that well. Like it's been kind of like 60% didn't like it, but in this one, like everybody had tore through the book and I was still like in chapter 3. And then a lot of people were like, I got the second book. I got the rest of the series. I was like, oh, wait for me. So I'm really happy that a lot of people liked it, especially people who either didn't normally read paranormal or people who read paranormal romance, because this is a bit different. This is more urban fantasy and there's a little bit of a, can I help you, young man? And it's darker urban fantasy as well. So this book, let's see. Oh, hi, Latasha. Latasha says, I voted for Solus, but Written in Red was amazing. Elizabeth asked me, oh, how would I rate the book? So, like I said, because that one was a reread, that one was hard. So I left it at the initial 5 stars. But if I'd have just been reading the book, it would have been a 3-star read for me. But I think that's more from first book syndrome than anything else. And I'm really, really, you just slobbed all over me. If you're not going to behave, dog, you got to get down. Lost my whole entire train of thought. That mug crashed and then caught fire. But anyway, I think I would have been interested enough to continue on with the second book anyway. I would have just been like, it's got first book syndrome and I'll just wait a while. But we see I waited a while anyway. So what a adorable puppy. Thank you. He's a jerk. He also is very mad at because he got away from me yesterday and went rolling in the bushes and stuff. So he looked like nobody loves him and his hair is just tangled and he's a mess. Can you mind your business? He also smells my lipstick and he keeps trying to lick it off. Stop. All right. So Written in Red. I know people in the chat on Boxer, a lot of people have already started the second book and some people have ordered the rest of the series. I think somebody even in the chat is on book 3. And I was like, yes, I love it. I live for it. Because when I read this book, I binged books 1 through 3 and I hadn't finished 4 and 5 yet. And then it's been like a year and a half because this was closer to when I first started BookTube. So actually it's been closer to 2 years since I read it. And you drive me crazy. So I was really stoked to read it at the end because my memory's crap. I read so many books that it's not possible for me to retain everything because I read like a book a day when it all comes down to numbers. And like I said, it's been a while. So Written in Red, this one, it takes place in kind of a, if you really want to like put a label on it, like a parallel Earth type situation. So in this one, the others being the paranormal creatures, the werewolves, the vampires, the shifters, the bears, crows, others, all of those were there first. They're the natives. They call them indigenous. So we have a little bit of like that, what should I call it? It has a little bit of that like colonization trope because then the humans showed up and started taking over stuff. But in this one, the others fought back and it was like, mind your boundaries, stay on the people's side or we will fucking eat you. So it's a little darker in that aspect, but because of the main character, it also just has a little bit of like childlike curiosity to it. So I should probably tell you what the book is about for those of you who do not know, because otherwise this would make no damn sense. So, in that world, as I told you, the others were kind of there first. They are the indigenous people, if you can call them people or choose to call them people or however you would describe them. But they were there first. They live now in these kind of towns, not because they choose to, but to kind of better the relations between humans and the others. Simply because, you know, the others call humans monkeys, or they call them useful meat, basically. Like, you're still food, but sometimes you smart food and you make shit I like to use, like microwaves and stuff. So, I mean, we ain't gonna eat all of you. So let's, you know, make you feel a little bit like you can deal with us because I want the shit that you make, is how that world goes a little bit. We have our main character, Meg, who for like a year after I read this book, I kept calling her Meg Ryan. It's not her damn name. Meg Corbin, who is a Cassandra Saint. She's a blood prophet. Now, what this means is that this book does have trigger warning for cutting. I will just say that right now. When her skin is cut, she sees prophecies. So they live in this facility that they were put in to protect them. And these people who run these facilities basically charge people to be able to cut their skin. They cut them so many inches long and so many inches apart. And that is how what are you doing? That is how they make their money. And they tell people that, you know, if we leave them unattended, basically they would just keep cutting themselves until they either use up, because you only have so many cuts, and so they use up their cuts, or until they harm themselves. Because when you see the prophecy, you feel the euphoria, more or less. But yeah, it's very graphic in the first one, and I didn't realize it until somebody who has a history with it pointed out to me, and it's like, oh, I didn't think of it like that, and shame on me because I'm a nurse and I was a nurse when I read this, and that really should have clicked, and it did. So I apologize to anybody who might have picked the book up initially and did not know that and should have been warned. That is totally my bad because I didn't fucking think about it, and I'm sorry. But at any rate, so yes. Trigger warnings for cuttings. They see prophecies by having their skin cut. Meg gets tired of that shit and she escapes. She dyes her head this really funky color and uses a lot of funky hair dye, and they can smell it on her. And she lands in this, like, I keep saying Shifter Town, but that's from another book. It's this town full of the others that they built this shopping center in to kind of bring the humans in, but there's also a barrier. It's like, you can't come over this gate or we'll eat you, and we'll just throw your wallet back over the gate for the police to find later. And if you got money in it, we probably gonna take that. If you got guns and knives, we'll take them too because they're useful. But you come over here, we're gonna fucking eat you. Like I said, Meg escapes in like the dead of winter and just has on jeans and a regular shirt and tennis shoes and lands in this town next to, in the bookstore, I think, to apply for the job, which is the why is my brain not working today? It's like an ambassador position, but essentially she works in the mailroom. She's the human ambassador, so to speak. Ambassador is not the right word, and my brain is shutting down on me, but whatever. So she gets there, and the others are like, everybody always fucks up this job. We tired of dealing with humans. We need them, but keep it on her toes. And why don't she smell like prey like humans do? That's a little weird. That's really fucking weird. I'm going to keep my eye on you. So there's a little bit of animosity there, but because Meg, it's unclear at this point whether or not she lived in the facility from the time she was a child to an adult, or if she grew up there. But judging by how little she knows, I'm pretty much thinking she was born and raised there, or at least they took her from infancy or a small child, what have you. And she kind of learns things by using, I was going to say Cliff Notes, note cards, like picture cards and stuff like that. And that's how she learns stuff. So she knows of things, but she doesn't know how to use things. She knows of things in theory enough to be able to tell a person, you know, in your prophecy, you are doing this with this thing in this place, which it wouldn't help her to describe things if she'd never seen a car, been in a car, didn't know what a microwave was, didn't know what a fridge was, those kind of things. So what I really liked about this book, like I said, was a darker aspect of it, because we have Simon, who runs the bookstore, and he's who gives Meg the job. And he is a werewolf, and he is really not a people person. By people, I mean, he is not a human person, but he's really not much of an anybody person, to be honest. Like, he just don't fucking like people. But he needed somebody to take the job, because if he had to do it, he was going to need somebody. So like I said, he gives Meg the job, and he gives her a place to stay, kind of apartment over the house kind of thing. Since Meg runs away, Meg has the people from the facility who would never really get named in this book specifically, I don't think, but they send some pretty high-powered people after her. For instance, like the mayor is in on it, and some other really rich people who were using her for prophecies to, like, for instance, see if they were going to get caught doing some dirt, to see if they're going to get arrested for doing something horrible that they did, to see if they're going to win an election, like that kind of a thing. So now Meg has kind of embroidered herself into this place full of all of these creatures, and she is essentially like a baby. Whenever I read about Meg or think about Meg, I always think of that scene in Avatar where Sam's kind of like traipsing through the woods, fucking up stuff, and she turns on him. She's like, "You just like a baby. You just don't know shit." She don't tell him he don't know shit, but same thing. That's what I think every time I see her, because she's really clumsy and awkward, but because she's so sweet, she quickly endears herself to all of these, basically like a town full of killers. And at first it's like, that's really weird, because you have these creatures who will eat people with no qualms about it, don't feel bad, throw their wallet over the fence, let the police worry about it. And then they'll have, like, they divvy the meat up amongst the others in the community. They'll sell the rest, what's left over, in the butcher shop with a sign that says special meat on it. Like, they just don't care. But then you kind of, as they see that Meg is not necessarily human and she's actually putting in effort and she's genuinely sweet and kind, they kind of rally around her and she almost becomes like the little town mascot, so to speak. Even like the creatures who the other werewolves and stuff are scared of, like the head vampire in his house. Like she kind of endears herself to all these people and creatures and what have you. Now we get like later in the story, and at first it's just like little stuff. So Meg's learning her job, Meg's learning the people, and then we have Simon who's dealing with his nephew who is traumatized and he doesn't ever want to shift back to a child. He just stays in like puppy form and he doesn't grow because he's trapped himself in that form. So what I mean by like Meg is very kind of sweet and awkward and does things that make them go, what the fuck, but also thinks it's kind of cute, is that Simon left her in charge of the nephew to babysit him, and she put him in like a harness and a leash. Why can't I talk today? She put him in a harness and a leash, and kind of told him it's like, it's a buddy system. It's an adventure rope. So if I get lost, if you get lost, we can find each other to kind of build his confidence back up. But the shifters are just like, you put my kid in a leash, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, it's that kind of a thing. But once they start to see like he's comfortable enough to shift back to a child, so she's very polarizing. The entire book amongst the others, she's very fucking polarizing. And there's a couple of seconds where I'm just like, it annoyed me for just a little bit, but when you kind of see how successful she is and how realistic it is, because it's not like, see, this is what killed me, because the fact that she uses like all of these flashcards is what I was trying to say earlier, not note cards. The fact that she uses all these flashcard memory things to learn stuff as if she was a child kind of annoyed me. But if she'd have popped out of this facility that she'd been in her whole life knowing how to drive a car and shit, I'd have been like, that bullshit. No, bullshit. So I think I was just being picky at that point. So that's what kind of made me tone it down a little bit. And then also when the shifters deal with her, it's so fucking cute because Simon, as he's a wolf, he's more wolf-like than a lot of other shifter books are. He's like actual wolf. He kind of thinks of her in the terms as like prey or not prey at first. And he's just like, she looks like prey, but she doesn't smell like prey. It's weird. And then the more like human side of him is kind of starting to feel comfortable with her and starting to feel affection for her and starting to feel protective. And then he has moments where he thinks of her in the terms of like being a squeaky toy because she makes funny noises when she's startled. So that dog-like aspect of him comes out a little bit. The shifters and all of the others are very much that. Like they have this childlike curiosity, but they're also vicious as fuck. Like the crows, who at one point in the book peck somebody's eyes out, but they like playing with like Connects and Legos and shit. And they have that bird-like inquisitiveness, and they're like, ooh, shiny. But then somebody does something, they just go peck his fucking eyeball out. So it's a mix of that, but surprisingly, it works rather well. And my throat's getting dry. And the last thing I need is more. This is actually whiskey, BT Dubs. It is Crown Royal bourbon mash that I bought because it said bourbon on it. And then I got home and there's that sticker that says, this is not a bourbon whiskey. Why ain't that on the box? Bastards, but whatever. Drink it. For those of you who do not live in the state of Washington, BT Dubs, Washington has about 72.5 taxes on alcohol. So if you buy a liquor, you're like, ooh, that's not that bad of a price. I'll take that. Thank you. And then you get it. So the bottle that I bought was like 20 something. And then when it rung up, it was 40. And I was like, I thought you told me it was 20. What? And she's like, well, yeah, but there is the sugar tax and alcohol tax and the liter tax and the you don't need no alcohol tax. I was like, what the fuck? And the regular tax. She's like, you still want it? Yes, especially after that. Get my whiskey. Damn. Okay. Let's see more comments. Tasha said, nope, that's not Tasha. That's Delicious. She says, I need to drink more wine and get on your level. I wish I had wine. I spent all this money in this damn whiskey, so I mixed it in cran raspberry juice. I would usually just like straight up whiskey in a glass because I'm that person, but I figured I would probably be very quickly incoherent if I did that. So I put a whole bunch of juice and a little bit of whiskey, which is usually I put enough juice in it to color it and I drink it. I sound like a lush. Well, channel name, hello. Latasha says, check out Matthew Skyropas. I don't know how you say his last name. I have seen him on Twitter, though. Check out his book review, Unwritten and Read. It's well done and hilarious. I think I will look at that. But Yeah, like I said, I am actually very surprised with the amount of people who read this because I know this one was one of the weird ones. Not who read it, but who liked it. Because this is one of the weirder like shifter books that I like. But I like paranormal romances, so I don't mind the odd ones. And a lot of times people are like, I'm gonna read that. That sounds crazy. But a lot of people enjoyed it. So I had people in the chats who went and got the rest of the series and was like, yes. So for those of you who want to read Written and Read or who have read it and want to read the series, we are staying in the Written and Read chat as well as the Bone Season chat to go forward with the rest of them. So if you want to join, what you do is you find me on Voxer. It is the app that I just got. Let's see. There's a little orange app that kind of, well, that was dumb. Yeah, there you go. Kind of looks like that. It's a walkie-talkie app, and it's got a little orange square with a little white walkie-talkie head in the thing when you look for it. It's on Android, it is on Apple, and you can get it on the computer. If you find me on there under the Novelish, all one word, because if you put spaces, it just takes the spaces out because I put spaces, and it was like, fuck your spaces. But if you go find me on there and want to be added to the Written and Read chat or the Bone Season chat, where we will continue on with the rest of Written and Read until everybody abandons me, or the Bone Seasons book 2 and 3 next, for the months of November and December. If you say add me to either of those, I will add you to the chats. But be forewarned, we only talk about the book like 37% of the time. The rest of the time, we just be talking shit about everything. Excuse me. Also, whiskey gives me the hiccups. I didn't think about that beforehand. But we talk about work, other books. We just be talking. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's like actual physical book club where you go in, you sit with a bunch of other people with liquor, and you get distracted and start talking about other stuff. That's why I really like Boxer. And you get to be actual friends with people because you find out about people past their book taste. It's really cool. So let's see. We got some other stuff. I need my glasses. I read Written and Read a while ago, and it's still one of my favorites of all time. I immediately bought the rest of the series in hardcover. Yeah, that's what I did, except I had just been living in Denver and was broke. So all of mine are used copies. So some are library and some are the regular ones. And then I think the fifth one, something flesh, marked in flesh. I don't know if that's the fifth one. That one I bought new because it came out like a month after this, which is actually how I found this one. Those Goodread ads like, hey, this is coming up. And I was like, what's this series? Ooh, shifters. Need it. Because I'm an addict. I've added Written and Read to my cart. It sounds very good. It's awesome. Also, I believe if you, I think you told me though before that you don't do ebooks, right? I think it's very cheap on Kindle because that's another thing that I try to do for book club picks. I try to pick Kindle books that are like $3 or under. For those of us who broke at the moment, like me. So that's a thing as well. I quit buying books new a while ago, unless it's like something I'm really, really excited to read because she poor. That's a thing. But I guess no spoilers. You can talk about the end of the book. So the end of the book, what I really liked about it is it kind of pulls you in, and this is how it got me. So the end of the book, there is this stuff comes to head with Meg and the people who are searching for her, and this idiot who lives in the this human idiot who was there trying to get basically a foot in the door through like almost a comedy of errors type situation, actually stumbles on some actually useful information because at first she just sounds like a fuckwit. It sounds like the people who hired her are just using her to see if she can maybe find something useful, but likely not. She was told by whoever is her backer, and she never uses names. And at first it almost sounds like she's being like smart about it, but since it's her narrative, it just makes it sound like she has this weird, stupid narrative inside of her head, like she thinks she's a spy and she's being cool, but it's really fucking annoying. So she says so she has this backer, and the purpose of being in the shifter place in the first place is to find information that the backer would find useful, just about the others in general. Nothing specific. She just there as a plant for no reason, but just to be a plant. Just find something. When you think of something interesting, let me know and I might pay you type deal. But she thinks she's getting her own TV show out of it, which again added to the fuckery of her narrative, and it made it kind of annoying. So that was the thing. She just made her sound really like gullible. like meeting somebody in Vegas and they're like, hey, you want to be in a movie? I did that. No, Satan. Fuck off. But so she actually stumbles on some information, believe it or not, after stumbling around like a jackass and getting nowhere. She kind of finds an inn accidentally with Meg because Meg doesn't have her guard on all the time. Meg's trying to learn a bunch of other things. So she gets this inn, and in this inn that she gets, she damns Meg a little bit, and she kind of lets the people know who are looking for her exactly where she is. So at first the police get involved, but the others stop that and they're like, this ain't the bitch you looking for, fuck off, kind of deal, even though it was her and they had a picture. And then after that, it just keeps blowing up until we get like a full-scale fucking invasion into this little town that they've built. They tear through the walls. It's in the middle of a blizzard. It's a really like, it's just like a full-fledged invasion, and they come on like snow blowers and what have you, and snow blowers. Whiskey is the devil. They come on snow blowers, and basically their goal is to take her alive and to take Simon's nephew. I think his name is Sam, and to get Sam because they want to hold him hostage for what is never really quite spelled out. They're just like, that's another thing that's like, maybe he could be useful. We can hold him hostage. I'm not really sure why, but maybe Simon would just offer us something until we give his nephew back, until one of them sounds good to us and we learn something. Like that kind of like bad guy aspect of it wasn't really thought out, or maybe it just wasn't spelled out that well. So a lot of it was just like really vague. Like, we want information. Why? I don't know. Information on what? I don't know. But how about you just go be a spy and just stand in the corner until you see something, just something. So there's a lot of that, but it actually pays off, believe it or not. And then Meg is the one who gets screwed. So she ends up hurt protecting Simon and protecting everybody else because she had a vision about something bad happening in a snowstorm. In this snowstorm, everything is worsened by someone at the lake she befriended who is actually an elemental, and the shit just goes completely haywire, and they shut that whole entire, like, the human town that's close to it, they shut all of that shit down. But like I said, what I really liked about it is while all this is going on, they've kind of slipped this extra mystery into it. So halfway through the book or so, we kind of get news that from other of these little towns of the others, that people are having really weird behavior, and so are humans, and so are crows, who are usually not malicious unless they're protecting something. So they're turning on each other. The humans are turning on each other. They're becoming feral, and then it just wears off, and it's kind of spreading. It's starting to spread from place to place, and we don't really see what it is or why, and it looks kind of weird. But then when you get to the end of the book, when kind of Simon is protecting Meg and she's in the hospital after this whole invasion type thing happens, then we kind of find out what it was that was happening with this drug that's been making people behave weird, and we find out where it may come from, and Simon gets exposed to it. So we get the hint of like, this is going to become a thing in the next book, and it involves likely the people who are keeping the Cassandra saying, like, basically as blood slaves, more or less, in these buildings. So it was, that sucked me in because I already liked the book, but I'm very much one of those readers, if in the last little bit of the book, they're like, but you didn't know this though, and it's gonna fuck some up in the next book. I'm like, okay, now I need the rest of the series and every other book this lady has ever written. Speaking of which, I tried her Black something or other, Black Diamond, Black whatever the fuck, and oh my god, it's really weird, and I just could not do it, even for me. And I read weird, and that was just too much. So I stick to the others and not that. Let's see. Allie said Winter was my favorite character, followed by Tess. I did like Winter, even though like that one scene where Meg is being nice and she gives her this scarf and she's like, you giving me a scarf with green on it? Like, I will kill you. Like, it's evergreen trees. Like, don't kill me. That was a little, it's like, oh, these tempers, they are just really mercurial. Jesus Christ. But other than that, yeah, I did really like her. It's just one of those, another example of Meg just being able to just come in and basically soothe the savage beast in any of these people. But I think like by the time she got to Winter, I was like, all right, that's enough. Because we had already dealt with the ponies and the sugar and throwing tempers and knocking shit over with their elemental powers because like, you cares today. I don't know, carrots. Goddamn it. Let's see. Tess. Yes, Tess. Tess was really fun. So Tess is one of the characters who ran the diner. It wasn't really a diner, it's more like a coffee shop that was next door to the bookstore. And she's really very cranky. She's also, we don't really get hinted at we get hinted at what she is through the whole book. She gets pissed off and her hair starts to change colors. Now that seemed kind of a dumb representation to me. Like I was a little upset that, not upset, but it just seemed a little corny to me, like that you get mad and your hair curls like Medusa, but more childish. Like your hair goes from like green to red to black. I'm like, okay, I just went with it. Just go with it. It's fine. But later on, we start to see what her power is, like literally in the last section of the book. It's like, watch out for that one. I do not remember if we find out more about her in the second or third books, but I thought that the spin-off series, it's like Lake Silence something. I thought maybe she would be in that one, but it's not. I think it goes on with one of the crows. So I was like, oh, bummer. But she might be in it. I haven't I skimmed that one when I read it. I'm not gonna lie, because I was bummed that I didn't get no Megan Simon in that one. So it's like rude. But yeah. Tess does need a book. That's awesome. I also want to see more of in the next book. I know you will get to see more of the other Cassandra saying, especially the one who kind of like built her up to escape in this one. The one who's like, I don't go by no number. My name is this, and you will use it and like it. And if you don't, well, I'm taking your name from you. Like, I really want to meet her. And I believe she shows up in one of the next books, but I think that was the one that I either didn't finish or didn't get to. And I'm very bummed about it. Very bummed. Bummed. And I do know that book 2 is pretty cool as far as we get like the drug plot and the crows that get involved. And I'm like, not the crows. They don't bother nobody. They just like shiny stuff. Leave the crows alone. So I really am ready to get into the rest of it. I actually think that I will probably pick up the next one next. So like I said, I will pick up, you know what? We'll just make that the book club book for this month. I was only going to use the Mime Order, the second book in the Bone Season trilogy, but I will also do, I think Murder of Crows. I can't read that far. I think Murder of Crows is the second one. So we'll just make that the book, and we'll see if anybody wants to join in on that. And then, like I said, find me on Voxer and message me and tell me that you want to join, and we will add you to our crazy ass book chat where we talk about like the book about 15% of the time, and then everything else. I don't know if it happened as much in the written and read chat as it did in the Bone Season chat, but it's happened when I did a Chicagoland Vampire series read along too. And that's why I like Voxer so much. So, anything else? Let's see if I forgot anything. Well, if I forgot, how the hell am I going to know? Does anybody else have another point that they want to bring up for written and read before I sign off of this bad boy? Because it's NaNoWriMo, and I've only got 600 words for today, so I got to get to it. Also, probably should put this whiskey down before I try to write, or it will not be very good English. Nope. Okay. Who's somebody else joined? Rich. Hi, Rich. And then Carol said, poor crows. Definitely, I agree. Like, they deserve better. But, you know, I kind of also feel like in this one, Meg's powers are evolving. So I'm interested to see how that works, because in the beginning, she was just having to have her skin cut to see visions. And then later on, we kind of get like, she gets that bad feeling without having to cut herself for it. It lets her know that she needs to see a prophecy. And then later on, she was just seeing them like without it. And that was just in this book. So I'm interested to see how her powers grow in the next book that hopefully don't involve her cutting her skin. And interested to see if that was myth or if that's real or not, if that's just something they told them to keep them in line. Like, hey, you're only good for so long. So making them think like that if they escape, they won't possibly be able to survive. Gaslighting much? But yeah. I think I am going to call that it for this book chat, guys. Starting No, I guess not November because I didn't pick a book, and NaNoWriMo is taking up all of my free time. So starting like December or January-ish, I have asked some people to join me in hosting Wicked Spirits Book Club. So there will actually be some back and forth, and I won't be like staring at myself and just here, and there will be chats and more chats for people to join in, because otherwise I'm just doing a live show, and I'm like, it's fun to get like live responses and to respond to people like while it's recording instead of just filming a video and then typing up responses later if I see them or if I don't see them. I've been staying away from those because the comments after my race discussion video, some of them have been kind of ignorant, so I haven't been going to every comment like I used to. But I will get more people to join in with me, so there will be more discussion and different views, which would be really cool. So you won't just have my POV on how I felt about the book, and hopefully we'll get people who like the book, love the book, didn't like the book, and we'll have a bunch of different point of views to talk about, as well as input from you guys who are watching. I can't wait, especially because I just feel really awkward sitting here talking for an hour, even though you guys are talking back. I'm just awkward. Hence the liquor. Anywho, I guess that is it for this chat, guys. I know in some parts of the world it's getting kind of late, so thank you for sticking it out with me. And don't forget to join me. You can. Nobody chats in Goodreads anymore, but I add you guys so you can see when I make announcements about the books and stuff. And next month upcoming, I will try to be better about letting people know ahead of time. But right now, because everybody's going on vacation because it's holiday season and I'm new man on the block, so I didn't get in for vacation in time. So I've been just kind of not getting any vacation while everybody else has it. So I'm kind of filling in. So that means I'm working a lot of crazy schedules because my regular one is thrown off because nobody's here. So bummer. So I'm sorry that I didn't warn anybody beforehand, but hopefully next month or month after, when holiday seasons are past and everybody's not taking vacation like so many at a time, I can get back on my regular schedule and say, hey, they're going to be on Sundays at the end of the month. Like last Sunday of the month is potentially when I want to do them. But at any rate, that's it for this, guys. Thank you so much for watching, especially those of you who I was just talking to and bugging in Boxer. I love you guys. You rock. And I'm probably going to get right back on Boxer because I'm procrastinating from writing these words. Oh, and thank you guys for showing up. I am seeing new names in here that weren't here last time, and that is awesome. I'm seeing people that are in the Boxer chats, and that's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But that's it, guys. I will catch you later. Bye.